starting your LLC. For this segment, we're going to be back on the GoBiz.com site. By this point, you should have a login. Create your login information and log in. Go to Get Started underneath your dashboard. Once you're logged in, you can click the yellow Get Started button. From here, we're getting started. They want to know, what do you want to do? And at this point, we want to register a Louisiana business just starting up. So go ahead and highlight that. You could check that bubble and then click Next. From here, they give you a quick description of starting a new business filing and the options that you do have. We're going to go ahead and click Start New Business Filing. On the next screen, they're going to ask you what type of business. For this example, we're going to be doing an LLC and a domestic LLC, and then click Next. The first part of the new business registration is typing in the desired name of your limited liability company. Remember, you do need to include LLC or some form of LL at the end of the extension for it to be accepted. That is the legal name of your business. Underneath the doing business as, it can be the same name as your limited liability company, or if you have reserved a trade name, you can type that in at this point. For the federal employer identification number, please do that portion. Once you have the name reservation, you need to go get your EIN number from the IRS.gov site. You can watch that tutorial. Reserve your name. Go visit the IRS.gov site. Obtain your EIN, and then come back to register your new business, as you will need that EIN to get past this next portion. This company is formed for the purpose of engaging in any lawful activity for which limited liability companies may be formed. You want to go ahead and check that off. Next is the duration of the company. For the duration, you can set a time limit on the duration of the company, but for most startups, I recommend perpetual, and I have included that. That means no end time. It's ongoing, because if something goes on and you want to dissolve the business, you can always do that later, but you don't want to set an end date on the business before it gets started. So you go ahead and fill in perpetual. It does accept that as an answer. Okay, once you've typed in everything, scroll down, put in your electronic signature, which is your name and your title, which we've done to this point a few times. The next screen, it'll be the location. It can't be a P.O. box, but it will be the physical location of the LLC. Now, this can be a residential area. This can be your apartment or something, but you will be limited in what type of business you can conduct in that area when you go to get your zoning clearance. Because while it can be used, a house, an apartment, a commercial area can be used as an office. If you're renting a house, you're not going to get a zoning clearance in most cases to operate the business out of that house. You can use it as an office to file your paperwork in a main location, but you can't do any kind of commerce out of the location. Next on the process, you want to make sure you put in a valid email address. The mailing address, go ahead and fill that in. It could be the same as the physical location of the business, or this part actually can be a P.O. box. You can have your mail forwarded to a P.O. box, but the physical location of the business just can't be a P.O. box. So at this point, you can have a P.O. box typed in for mailing. Once you have this all filled out, you can click next. On this next screen, this is where you'll be able to type in the agent for the business. You can have multiple agents for the business, but for this example, we're just typing in one agent. It's best to have a third party as the agent for several reasons. One main reason for contact information, or if you are a person that's hard to get in contact with, having an agent who's always ready to receive your mail or who can act on receiving information for your business, it's always good to have a third party agent. But if it's just you at this time, you can file yourself as an active agent. Again, make sure you put in a valid email address, because you will be receiving important email when they have to send out an email. So again, you can add additional agents, but it's not necessary. Next would be the name and municipal address, not a P.O. box. These can't be P.O. boxes for both of these sections of the members or managers. This is very important, where you need to type in a person. It can be a corporation, but because this is the first time you're setting up a corporation, you won't have a corporation to give the business to or file the business underneath as the share owner of the business. So this will be your information you need to type in. And yes, you do need to type in your social security number on this portion, as they will be validating this information. Once you have this information typed in, you want to go to role, select the role of your agent. You can be a member, a manager. You can look in the workbook in the key terms section to see the member manager defined. For this section, we use manager and add role. From there, you can go in and type in your verified email address. Make sure it's a valid email address. Again, I can't stress that enough. A valid email address will be needed, as important mail gets sent out to your email address. You need to have access to that account to get all your information. You don't want to miss valid information or very important information the state might be trying to get to you. You can add additional members, but it's not required for the single member limited liability company. From there, we're going to be doing the electronic signature, which you should be familiar with by this point, adding your name and your title. Click next. Okay, once you click next, you're going to see a warning come up. In order for your order to be processed, an email will be sent to your designated registered agents, and they must complete the electronic agent acceptance process within 7 days. Again, this is why I'm letting you know it's very important that you have a valid email address when you're filling out these forms, because you're going to receive an email from the Secretary of State within the 7 days to validate that you are a registered agent, and you need to accept that email. So you're going to be looking out to receive an email from the Secretary of State that you will need to accept before they even get to the process of accepting your LLC or approving your business being incorporated. They need to validate that this is an actual person or agent. So please make sure that you have the valid email address that you have access to when you are filling out all these forms. Once you've closed that, you can go ahead and review. This page is simply to review the information that you typed in. Once you've reviewed it, go ahead and click next. This again is another review page. Review the information that you do have typed in. See if you have any mistakes, any information that might be wrong that you need to correct it. Correct it now. Click next. And the next segment that NAICS code that we looked up earlier. You will need that information now. So if you haven't looked up that code, go ahead and open up a new tab. Go back to that tutorial of the NAICS lookup on the census.gov site and look up that code. If you still have your code, go ahead and paste it in. And then once you have that up, put in 100% contribution. Now that you see that we have 100% contribution, you can see graphic design services pops up. Click next. Now, on the initial setup, you can go ahead, because what they want you to do, now that the three services, Louisiana Secretary of State, Louisiana Department of Revenue, and the Louisiana Workforce Commission are all in one place on GoBiz.com, they give you the option right now to go ahead and set up your sales tax with the state of Louisiana. If you are a small business in services, you can set this up at a separate point in time, or even if you are in sales, you can set this up at a separate point in time. For the most part, I recommend that you set this up separately, just for the simple fact that you don't want to go through this process and have your information kicked back up, not approved, and then you've set up something that you don't have approved. Because again, you still need to hear back from the state as your LLC is approved. On that portion, you don't need to fill it out right now. You can go ahead and, for the do you want to register for the sales tax account, you don't have to create an account with the Louisiana Department of Revenue right now. So you can click no, which we are doing, clicking no and then clicking next. Again, this is dealing with the Louisiana Department of Revenue, a withholding tax. You can set all this up right now. You can register your withholding tax account right now, but it's not imperative that you do that right now on this process of setting up your LLC. So for us, after reading through it to see what it is, they're asking you, do you want to register for the withholding tax account right now? And we're going to go ahead and, for the purposes of this tutorial, for the new business registration, we're going to go ahead and click no. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and click no and then click next. Now, this third screen of the Louisiana Department of Revenue is the corporate income and franchise tax. We're not part of any of that because, as I mentioned, we did not set ours up as the corporate income structure. We are actually the single member limited liability company, and we will be filing a Schedule C when it comes down to taxes. So on this one, when they ask you, do you want to register for a corporate income and franchise tax account, you can go ahead and click no and then click next. Do you need to register for tax types you have not found above? We're going to click no and then click next. All right, for the next part, you're simply going to be reviewing Louisiana Department of Revenue application summary, and this is your application summary for that portion of the application. Remember, review all the information. Double check, triple check if you have to. Make sure all the information is as correct as you can get it. Next portion of it is the Louisiana Unemployment Tax Account Application, LA employees. Most of us startups are going to click no, so you can go ahead and click no and then click next. Okay, at this point in the registration, it's another review page where you need to go ahead and review the information, double check, make sure everything is all right, click next. Now we've made it to the actual checkout page. You can go ahead and review the cost. It's $105 total with the $5 state fee included. You can go ahead and type in your card information and then click check out and file. Once you went on ahead and checked out, you'll be able to review your status underneath your dashboard, just like the rest of the filings that we've done. Within the next few days, you should get an update or an alert in your dashboard that'll give you an opportunity to see what the status of your filing for your LLC is. If there's anything that's gone wrong with your application or they need further information from you, it will be notated there. So you do need to come back and check on the status of your filing. You also may receive an additional email letting you know whether your business was filed or not. Be looking out for an email if it goes on for over 5 days. And remember, it's business days because you're dealing with the state. If it's over 5 business days, you can always give the state a call, and you will have a reference number in your dashboard next to any of your filings. Underneath My Filings, you will have a reference number, so you can call the Secretary of State, give them your reference number, and they can check on your order.